years have passed, and the daughter of Jedidiah, Danielle, has decided to go on her own adventure and explore the region of the Lost Isles, a rumored place far to the east, and she will take this journey in the name of her father and just for the fun of it. Danielle is a fierce warrior, capable of fighting almost any creature. She even got her own fancy blue light sword that she picked up off of some weird scavengers and strange men in white armor with guns. So she found this sword among the battle and decided to keep it as her own. It has been quite useful to help her in this journey, but she must continue going east towards the Lost Isles if they are true. On her way towards the beach, she ran into one of the brutes, large, strange monsters that roam around the land. She tried to go around this one, but it managed to come and get her instead, which forced her to have to fight it. Brutes are large, formidable creatures, capable of great strength, though they are slow and can be easily dodged. You just have to know the way around them. With the brute defeated, she continues on her path towards the beach, where she can build a boat and continue on her journey towards the Lost Isles and seek the riches of that world. But there are still many monsters in her path: skeletons, crabs, wolves, all kinds of strange creatures, not normal in the regions of her father. But as she continues further and further away, the creatures are more persistent and more dangerous, which gives her a fun challenge. Danielle had reached the beach and was ready to go to the islands, but it was late, and so she needed to build a cabin to stay the night before she continues on the adventure. So she did just that in a mannerly time, so it wasn't too late before she was able to go to sleep. She made a small furnishing and decided to go to bed. In the morning she got up and decided it was time to get ready for the island. Though she had quite a lot of stuff from the creatures she had defeated on her way to the beach, she decided to leave them here for another adventurer to likely find and use in their own ways. With the ship almost done, she decided it was almost time to get ready. She added the final touchings to the ship before it was time to set off, and was ready to go on the adventure of a lifetime, just like her father had before, though this time it was her own, to uncharted regions of the world. Danielle was a master of building ships and vehicles of all sorts, just like her father, and even has some of his abilities, like flight, though not as mastered as her father's. She can still use it to some extent, but is very knowledgeable in building vehicles. Like the mighty ship she built to travel the world, see the Lost Isles for herself. Not too far out, and she was able to see some sort of strange floating island out in the distance with the binoculars she had gathered from some sort of battle in the past. She was certain that these were the Lost Isles and was going to make her way there and explore this region and see what other treasure she can find. With the power of her mighty engine thrusters on her boat, she'd reached the edge of what she thought was the Lost Isles, seeing strange floating islands up in the distance, and normal-ish islands, though they're jungle-like in nature, not like anything she had seen in the past in her other adventures. Seeing the moon rise in the distance, she thought it could be a good time to hatch her plan. You see, like her father, she was also a master of air. And so she decided to go and rig her ship up with balloons, much like her father's past works, though that was more of an airship that turned into a boat. And so she rose up to the sky to chart these islands and to see what secrets they hold. Though she had no idea what was up here, she would soon call this place home for now. Finding some islands suitable enough to land the ship by, she decided that this would be the place where she would dock the ship and begin building some sort of camp where she can stay and research and study this strange world. As she was going to begin her camp, she misjudged the jump and landed into a spider pit. She quickly jumped into action, defeating all the monsters she saw in sight, including skeletons, spiders, and scorpions. Strange creatures that are not as formidable on the normal world as they are in this strange one. And they are not as common either. Though this might just be because they have not had anything to do, as there does not seem to be any other life upon this world. Finding some sort of strange rock that she could not break, and cleaning out the creatures, she decided that this would be her base of operations for now. And this is where she began to construct a village of sorts, like her father had on his island that he discovered after being stranded in the ocean. This time, she's not stranded, and she chose this place because it seemed hospitable for her, and to see if there was any other adventurers out here that would like to help her in her cause. Seeing some sort of creature up on the island above, she grabbed her binoculars and tried to look, though she did not see anything, but could still hear some sort of large creature stomping around on the island aside. But she continued, because she could not see the creature. She began hard at work, constructing an outpost and a village, though this is the place where she could monitor what happens in the area and try to contact her father's village in case she needs help. Danielle began construction on a dock for her ship, so it did not have to sit there and float in place. And in case it did crash, it would have a spot to land and not be completely damaged. Because it is a mighty ship, and after all, if it crashed, she would have no way back home. And if that was the case, her father would probably not be very pleased if he was still alive. Midway through building the village, she had found a villager, or some sort of adventurer, named Marina. She was a lifeguard, she said, and she was also an adventurer looking to help build the village and help in any way she can. So, Danielle got away with giving her something to do and helping the village and continued to set up. Danielle also got a glimpse of that creature again. This time it looked like it was made of stone. But anyways, she continued building in the village. Danielle made sure to place plenty of beds for any adventurers that managed to get up to the village, where she would make sure that they had a place to sleep and were well rested in case they wanted to continue on their adventures, or just stick at the village and try to help in any way they can. With the village set up, Danielle decided it was time to start her adventure and explore this strange region. She was going to build one of her father's ancient vehicle designs, the airship, or at least what he called it, as it was a long time ago when he named the vehicles that he created and designed and placed in a book which Danielle carries on her every day. With the airship finished, she realized it was harder to drive than her custom ship that she made. But regardless, she continued on her adventure and explored this strange region. There were many floating islands, but there were also jungles beneath the islands, with strange new flora and fauna. She was going to continue, but she decided to check out the strange structure she found on the side of the mountain. See what stuff may be there, and if there were inhabitants on this strange world. As soon as reaching the camp, she realized that they were extremely hostile pirates. She ran back to the airship as soon as she could and tried to run. Though the ship was not budging, she did manage to get back into it before the pirates catched up to her and decided to continue on her adventure and to stay away from any structures that seemed very strange. Seeing something interesting down below on the land, she decided to get out and explore, but her airship was having some problems, but she decided to leave it. But she found some sort of strange fruit, which she did not know what to call it, so she was going to think up a name later. She took a look around the island, and what wonders it had. She continued to grab more berries, as they were some of the only things that she could manage to gather, as most of the other stuff was very stiff and tough. But once she collected enough berries that she thought was fit, she decided to continue back. Unfortunately, some sort of stone creature hit her airship and made her crash, forcing her to fight the strange creature. The strange stone creature was very tough and very strong, dealing a lot of damage to Danielle. She tried to run, but it seemed it was able to stun her flight powers somehow, making her unable to fly. Then some sort of purple lizard decided to show up. It was eating some of the berries which the creature knocked down. So she decided to run. Maybe the creature would tame the stone monster. But instead, the large stone monster was beating up the purple lizard, but she was instead attacked by scorpions. Trying to run because she was being attacked from multiple directions, the creature began to beat up the purple lizard, forcing it to become red then with glowing orange eyes. But then it began to chase her as the orange and red lizard now began to attack the stone monster. As they continued to fight, the lizard was dealing massive damage to the stone creature as it was able to charge and launch some sort of acid ball from a breathing hole through its head. Seeing that it had defeated the creature and it was now locked on to attack Danielle, she threw down some of the berries as it knew it liked those from earlier and attempted to calm it down. Seeing it was now calm, she decided to try to feed it some more to keep it calm, in case it did decide to attack again. But it was friendly, and was going to let her ride on it after feeding it. So she began to ride it back home, as there was no longer a way for her to fly back home as the airship had crashed. Thinking of a name for this large creature, she thought up more of just a random word, of the word Clombo, and in return she also named the berries which the creature ate clomberries, which she thought was very fitting because they were not very appetizing for her, but were very appetizing for the creature. She had rode Clombo all the way back to a cliff outlooking towards the islands which the village was built upon. Though Clombo could not go up to the islands because it could not fly, and there was not a suitable path for him to take, she decided to spend the rest of the evening with Clombo and make sure it was well fed and protected for that night, and she would leave once she thought the time was right. Clombo was a remarkable creature with the ability to suck in food to its mouth and to change colors depending on its mood. Purple seems to be its normal color with blue accents. Green and yellow seem to be when it is happy or eating, and red and orange seems to be when it is extremely angry. But this creature was large and heavy. It was able to destroy many things in its path if it so desired, but it was also seemed to be very childlike in nature, very playful, but also reckless in some ways. But as the sun began to set, she knew it was time that she would return to the village and let Clombo continue. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe.